All right, I have to make an express, kind of an express episode for you guys. Today's leg training was what it was supposed to be. I got it done, but some more pressing matters to address today. I was in the gym doing what I always do, which is working hard, and I looked on my friend the Indian Jesus. Check him out on YouTube. I went and I saw a post from him where it seemed like it was a possible hoax of violence. And I texted him and I said, I'm hearing some rumors. And he said that, the reality of the situation caused some people to believe that it was a hoax, but unfortunately it's not a hoax. And I do feel very bad. Today, a conservative activist that I don't really know very well, named Charlie Kirk, was gunned down on a university campus in Utah. And I have to say that for public discourse, regardless of which side you're on or what you believe in, this is a very dark day for everybody. And I just kind of want to talk about the reality of these types of violent occurrences that happen just simply because some people disagree with someone else. This is a really bad thing. And first, before we talk about the implications for society at large, the first thing we need to talk about is the fact that whether or not you can turn that off, because I'm going to open the windows. You prefer the windows open, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless of what you believe, no matter who you agree with or don't agree with, you know what? I don't like the traffic pattern there, so I'm going to curl around.
No.
Yeah, that's
Walk
just
always gets crazy.
Yeah, so I'm going to curl around and go up that way to save some time.
I'm just going to do this because I just need to be like
I know.
in.
I know.
And then I could change my shirt after.
Yeah. Regardless of what someone believes in, regardless of whether you agree or don't agree, we are all human beings that have families, that have people that love us and people that we love. And as long as you are not advocating violence toward others, whatever I believe should be agreed with or disagreed with, and that should be that. That should be the end of the discussion. And unfortunately, we have a situation today where a young man, it's just really weird for me to be saying this, someone who's 31 years old with a wife and 2 children. 31 years old, wife and 2 kids. Now his wife is a single mother. Now his children are fatherless. And again, it does not matter what you believe in. It does not matter if you agree with, the termination of pregnancies. It doesn't matter even if you believe in eugenics or a superior, race or what have you. It does not matter what you believe in. What matters is that, we have a line that should not be crossed in our society. And as long as he is not advocating for anybody to do violence unto you, there really should not be any violent moves made towards somebody simply because you do not agree with their political stance. If it were a liberal talking head that had that happen to them today instead of Charlie Kirk, what would be the narrative, right? We need to be sure that we are all honoring the social contract and the fact that we all have freedom of speech in this country. You know, speech is not punishable by death, surely not by some random's hand because they're tired of listening to you talk. If you don't like somebody's opinion, then simply change the channel. For the older person who took Mr. Kirk's life today, the only thing you really needed to do was simply not go to the university. And you didn't have to hear anything that Mr. Kirk had to say. Instead, you chose to take somebody's life when he had done nothing to you except offend you. And the thing that bothers me about people like this is if it had gone in the opposite way, that guy that took Mr. Kirk's life today would be talking about, you know, how everybody deserves freedom of speech. And, you know, I have to say, my own personal frustration with stories like this is, you know, we live in a country where the left and the right only agree with freedom of speech when the person speaking agrees. You know, part of beauty of the freedom of speech in this country is the fact that people are going to say stuff that are going to offend you. That is the point of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not the freedom to say what I agree with. The freedom of speech is to say what I disagree with, knowing that your speech is not going to be encumbered upon and people are right to boo you or throw a tomato, but they are not allowed to take your life. You know, violence because somebody said something you didn't like is, I don't even have, I really wish I had eloquent words to describe how below useless that is and how much damage it does to us all. And I have to repeat this one more time. This is a highly political, violent incident. However, there is a woman whose husband she woke up with tonight. She'll be going to bed tonight, if she'll go to bed at all, as a widow. There are 2 children that woke up and kissed their father this morning that will never be able to hear "I love you" from their father again. We need to make sure that we keep everything in its proper perspective. This is a very, very bad thing for society. And, you know, I was texting with the Indian Jesus, who said hi earlier in the chat. Even if you're not looking at this like a human being, which if you're a so-called liberal, if this violence, oh, by the way, that's the place that I want to take you to. If this violence doesn't bother you, you're not a liberal. You are not morally superior to conservatives. If you're laughing and giggling and ha ha he because of what happened to Mr. Kirk, you're not a liberal. You're not morally superior. You're just a piece of garbage. I don't even know who Mr. Kirk was beyond what the Indian Jesus was telling me about him and the stuff that I've seen him cover. But if you call yourself a liberal and you don't have a problem with this, you are not just ideologically possessed. You are completely lacking character, soul, and morals. This is, I'm kind of feeling emotional about this, even though I don't know the guy. Because I'm thinking about what it was like when I lost my father. My father did not die directly from violence. And then I got to think about 2 young children who probably watched their father lose his life. This is not about liberal versus conservative. This is about a human being that lost his life in violent means that did not deserve to die, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with his social or geographical politics. As far as I'm concerned, I've never heard of Charlie Kirk perpetrating violence against anybody. I've never heard that before. If you are not bothered by a 31-year-old man who has, by all accounts, done the best that he can to live the right way and to take care of his family and to take care of his kids and love his wife, if it does not bother you that he was struck down by somebody who was already at the end of his life, who already had the right and was given the right to live out his full life, and then took somebody's life that was half his age because he didn't like what he had to say. If that doesn't bother you, you need to check your chest to see if your heart's still beating, to see if your body temperature is still 98.9 degrees Fahrenheit, because I cannot see how you can call yourself humane and not see a major problem with what happened today. Getting into the ramifications of what happened today. I'm going to liken this to when Trump took in the earlobe while he was on the campaign trail. This is the only thing that is going to do, especially if you're one of these stupid liberals that get a sixth sense of pleasure because someone you disagreed met a violent end today. You ended up with a result in the general election where the assault on the president, the assault on someone on the campaign trail actually turned him into the president. I still believe that the assault of, the guy with the rifle that shot Trump in the ear, I believe that he helped Trump get more votes than anybody. That was the biggest endorsement, was the violence against Mr. Trump. That was the thing that got Trump the most votes. And I think that when you see what happened to Charlie Kirk today, you are going to end up, and this is just for the stupid liberals. These are just for the liberals that don't have any kind of moral fiber, that, don't believe in doing the right thing, that, laugh at the misfortune of others that disagree with them. The biggest hit to any argument, any claim you had to moral superiority was extinguished today. Today was not just the loss of a human life. Today was also the loss of the legitimacy of the liberal movement in the United States of America for the most part. For you idiot wannabe liberals that think that you're so morally superior to others, that take pleasure in what happened to this man today, you are dancing on the grave of your own movement. You are revealing to the world just who is morally bankrupt and who isn't. Any claim that you had to legitimacy for any of your social causes, a great deal of damage was done by turning to physical violence to end someone's life because they disagreed with you. And it doesn't matter the gender that did it to Mr. Kirk. It doesn't matter the age, really. It doesn't matter the race. What matters is that, as the Indian Jesus said in plain English, they turned Charlie Kirk into a martyr. I'll give you an example. There is a black conservative commentator who is about as anti-black as they come. He will never get his name mentioned on my channel. He will never get his name mentioned on my channel. We're not spreading that influence. But one of the things that I noticed is that when one of the manual transmissions committed a crime, a mass violent crime last week against children, the first thing that this guy did was talk about how manual transmissions are out here trying to kill children, when the vast majority of mass shootings are not perpetrated by manual transmissions. Or as the great Brandon Jamal will call them, the ubiquitous. The vast majority of those events are not perpetrated by the ubiquitous. But the one time that it is perpetrated, they are going to mention that and they're going to harp on it. Well, guess what, liberals? Today's your day. Today's your day. The vast majority of liberals would never commit an act of violence like this. But guess what? If you're celebrating it, you got to own it now. And you got to own all of the damage that it does to your legitimacy as a group of people that claim that they have some sort of moral superiority against their ideological opponents. Your position of superiority is gone. To all reasonable people, you have no legitimacy. To people who were reasonable and now have seen this, congratulations. You just radicalized a good number of moderate conservatives. You just radicalized them. Congratulations. And when the next one of them uses this as an excuse to commit mass violence, I want you to remember what happened to Charlie Kirk today. You may have taken people who were already radicalized, and now you might have motivated them to action. That's where we are right now in society. That's where we are. And you really only have your own rhetoric and your lack of compassion, your lack of humanity to thank for it. Want me to keep any of the stuff in the car?
No, I'm taking all this. I just want to be prepared
Yeah.
like dump it in the
Yeah.
locker, run back downstairs and coffee.
Gotcha. Sorry.
That's fine.
I think we would have been there already if I didn't have to wrap it around. This is not a good day for anybody. And again, you know, the worst day is for Charlie Kirk's wife and children. Like I said, I don't know the guy. I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I've never, listened to. Do you want me to leave you on 59, or is it better to leave you on the other one?
59. 59 is the first one.
Okay. I don't know anything about what his belief systems are beyond the fact that he's considered to be a conservative activist. But it doesn't matter because he's a human being. He's a human being that did not deserve what happened to him, regardless of what he believes in, regardless of what or who he advocates for. And we need to make sure that we preserve our humanity, because we are spiraling as a society. This is an example of the latest step in the degradation of our society. And if anything, the harm done to Mr. Kirk only furthers his cause. It does not harm him. It does not silence him. I'm not going to compare him to to Martin Luther King, but I will compare the fact that the effect of the violence done to him will not be what people were hoping for. I will tell you that. All right, lady. Sorry about that. I'll be back to get you after 9.
Is my phone there? Yes.
Yep. Please don't forget your phone. Yeah, today is a bad day for all of America. And the thing is, and one of the things that really gets to me is that I looked when I found out the confirmation that he was in fact assaulted. The person that confirmed it was Donald Trump himself. And what does that mean? The president is aware that a conservative talking head lost his life today. And this is only going to bolster that movement. And, the people that know me know that I'm very much in the middle, but I lean somewhat socially conservative, but somewhat economically liberal or leftist. It's kind of hard because I've become more and more conservative as I've gotten older. But if you're a liberal today, you need to be in grieving just like anybody else. You really do. You need to be grieving just like anybody else. This is a dark day for American discourse. And for the third time on this live stream, I would be remiss not to revisit the loss to the family and friends of Charlie Kirk. People that knew him, that were loved by him, that were taken care of by him. His wife and his kids and whatever sisters or brothers he may have. His parents, because he was only 31 years old. So I'm assuming his parents are still alive. To have to bury their child because someone didn't agree with what he had to say. If you're a liberal and you're not speaking out against this, you're not a real liberal. You're supposed to be the most inclusive people around. Well, being inclusive means that you need to also accept the opinions of people that don't agree with you. not just people who wear dresses and demand that you call them ma'am. Someone, a pair of parents now have to bury their young child. That if that doesn't bother you, you're not human. You're not human if it doesn't bother you. Trevor Rose says, Kirk was a well-known Republican who loved to debate social issues with common sense, and a sensitive liberal took him away from his family, prayers for his family. I mean, this is beyond sensitive. I think that calling the person who took his life a sensitive liberal takes away the personal responsibility from the attacker. We're not just going to call them sensitive liberals. This is a murderer. This is a person without morals. This is a person without value for human life. There is a difference between somebody participating in a sit-in or a die-in. There is a difference between somebody that will throw a can of soup on a painting in the UK and someone willing to take someone's life because they don't agree with their opinions. And these are the same people that want to call other people fascists. If you're a person who has ever called someone a fascist and you celebrate what happened to Charlie Kirk today, you are a piece of garbage. You are a bipedal, humanoid piece of garbage. If you think that this is anywhere near acceptable, or that Charlie Kirk had any role to play in the assault against him. Oh, okay, this guy's blocking traffic. I get the sense that me and Charlie Kirk probably would only agree on maybe 60 to 70% of subjects, maybe. Probably owing to the fact that I may not agree with the spirit of many of the things that he would probably have to say. I probably would agree with more stuff that he had to say in reality, but not in principle. Again, I'm not deep red. I'm not an activist of any kind. But it doesn't even fucking matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It just doesn't. And of course, I'm not going to paint all liberals with a broad brush, but I've been on the long enough to know that when I go online and I see some of the social media responses to today's act of cowardly violence, there are going to be so-called liberals who are going to claim some sort of satisfaction and also try to label themselves morally superior to the social conservative. And I'm just going to call you out the way I would call out a conservative on the same subject. I'm just going to call you out. If you are a so-called liberal and you do not denounce this, you are not a liberal. You're a piece of garbage. You are not inclusive. You're a piece of garbage. Because words have meaning. If you want to say that you don't exclude people and you you accept all people, then you need to also accept the Charlie Kirks of the world. You don't have to agree with them. But if you are not denouncing today's cowardly act of extreme violence, you're not a liberal. You're a piece of garbage. Words have meaning. If you claim that everybody needs to be heard and that you're anti-fascist, if you are Antifa, you need to be speaking out against this kind of violence, because this kind of violence is the definition of fascism in action. The murder of Charlie Kirk is fascism. So if you claim to be Antifa, you need to start organizing. You need to start organizing marches alongside other liberals and conservatives and condemning these acts of violence. If you are not, you're not a liberal. You're not inclusive. You, in fact, do support fascism when it suits you. This really, really pisses me off. We have random people out here, the same people who would march against the extrajudicial killing of unarmed black citizens by representative of the government, the same people who would march against that, then think that they have the right to go and then take someone's life who is unarmed and speaking into a microphone. What is the difference? If you claim to be a liberal, what is the difference between what Derek Chauvin did and what that coward did to Charlie Kirk? Let's be real about it. In broad fucking daylight. And it's not just his family that is negatively affected by this. This is trauma that you cause to everybody that visited that speech today, that saw what they saw and the manner in which they saw it. Like, this guy damaged more than just Charlie Kirk and his immediate family. If you don't care about the implications and the harm done to everybody who saw this happen, you're not human. You're just not human. You're not the liberal you think you are. You're just, you're just an average everyday Crip gang member that roots for the blue side and waves your blue flag against the red. You're not a real liberal. If you don't have a problem with what happened to Charlie Kirk today, you're not a real liberal. You don't have any real moral stance whatsoever. And I will die on that hill. What happened to George Floyd was absolutely disgusting. And I'm going to say that what happened to Charlie Kirk is very close, if not on par, with what happened to George Floyd. In both of these events, these types of events only serve to further degrade society. Saints 2025 says, I'm a pretty strong liberal and I'm crying right now. Yo, I am very emotional right now. I am angry to the point of tears. And I don't even know the guy. But as a person who's pretty empathic, like, I'm thinking about his fucking kids, his wife. Like, this is this is not like a guy that was rapping about violence and all this stuff. This was a regular, everyday guy just stating his opinions and his love for his beliefs and his family. That was it. That's all he did. And somebody put an end to his life like it's some sort of rap gang feud. Like, what is that? Like, do we really live in a civilized society where this kind of stuff happens, not even just on the street. This happened on a college campus where the sharing of ideas is supposed to be sacred. These are the same people that say that we should have people in drag, pantomiming homosexual acts on stage in front of children. That's okay. And we need to push that. But a guy talking about family values, we need to bring a gun onto a college campus to just think about that. Just think about how much sense that doesn't make. Just think about how much sense that doesn't make. I've left religion. I left religion long ago, but I will never forget that there's a scripture that talks about in the last days, people will see good things as bad and bad things as good. And obviously there's a bunch of people that believe the Bible is about as relational and relevant as a fortune cookie. But you can't not look at shit like this and see the irony in it. You can't not see this and recognize it for what it is. Someone who claims to support the side of all kinds of debauchery put an end to somebody's life that spoke glowingly about family values and civilized society and behavior. That's crazy. If you are not infuriated about this, are you even fucking human? They say you're not supposed to drive when you're emotional, but I'm a defensive driver, so I'm not going to pull over. But I'm really, the more I keep thinking about it, the more angry I get. This is disgusting. Absolutely gross. I don't even know if I have any more words. We're watching our civil liberties being destroyed, law by law, incident by incident, technological advance by technical advance. We're watching our humanity and we are watching our civil liberties being destroyed. It really, really bothers me. Lax Lifters is here. First off, how can you even drive that fast in New York City? You're supposed to be in bumper-to-bumper traffic. It's good to see you again, Lax Lifters. I'll never forget Lax Lifters. Lax Lifters came to this stream when I was streaming video games once and dumped a $100 super chat on me. I think it is the biggest donation in this channel's history. Just on a fucking whim. That was crazy. I think that was 2 or 3 years ago. That was wild, yo. Shout out to you, Lax Lifters. No matter how much I disagree with someone politically, I would never wish death upon anyone. Political violence has no room in democracy. Both sides should be distraught right now. 1,000,000% correct. If you don't have a problem with what happened today, you are not a human being. And we got guys blocking the box. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Let me see if I can sneak through here. Ooh, that's not smart. I think that I think that Saints 2025, you said it very eloquently. I'm just in a stream of consciousness right now because I'm in disbelief. And I gotta say this too, because I would not be me if I didn't bring this up. You got people that actually threaten violence, like the main fraud in Florida, that will never get his name or his ideologies presented on any channel of mine. He is just simply known as the Fed, the fraud from Florida. This guy is always threatening violence against somebody, and nobody, pulled out on this guy, but you pulled down on the one guy that is not threatening violence against somebody. That's cowardice. You didn't pull out on one of these violent pieces of shit wannabe conservatives. You pulled out on the non-violent guy. The guy that is not packing. The guy that did not work for the feds. You didn't pull out on the guy that glorifies violence and welcomes people to show up to have violent exchanges with them. You went towards the peaceful guy that said, hey, we need to bring back family values. That's the guy you took off the census. The guy that says we should have a man and a woman having babies and believing in God. Whether you believe in God or not is your goddamn business. That's your business. But that's, from what I understand, what he pushes. God, country, family. And that's the guy that you chose to put a bullet in. You're a fucking coward. You didn't go up against the violent ones. You went up against the peaceful one. It's just that you can always tell by the circumstances surrounding people's actions what they're really made of. When you came on Rossman, it left great impact, and bro, you deserve millions of those. Yeah, that he passed away. Like, you took this man's life for what? For what? And I'm telling you, the next time one of these conservatives goes off with a rifle, I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear shit. If you are not out there in the streets today as liberal, marching against Trump, I want to hear shit from you later. We need to hold every coward accountable, regardless of what color flag they're flying, what color ballot they go to the election box with. We need to call out cowards, and violent cowards at that, every single time. Yeah, the simplistic, man. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. It just burns me. It burns me, man. Shout out to you. The Simplistics is a newly married man who's going to have a family. Shout out to him. Very lovely wife. I've spent time with her. Very good woman. This is, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a really, really painful reminder that no side has any moral superiority over anybody. The only way that you can show that you're morally superior, or that you have morals at all, is not by what opinion you have, but what you do with your opinions. And I've been saying this about racists since I was a kid. I don't judge racists because everybody's racist. Everybody is racist over the age of 4. But what you do with your racism, what you do with your racial bias, is the mark of your character. And I'm going to say that for everybody that holds any kind of political opinion of any sort. Your value to us in society is not what opinions you have, but what you do with your opinions. If you're out here harming people with your opinions, you're worse than the people you think you're superior to. You're just too fucking stupid to know it. From someone who lost his dad early on, I really feel for his kids right now. Yeah, I mean, I lost my father a year and a half ago. And I'm still fucking devastated. Imagine, again, that dude woke up, showed love to his children this morning, and they're going to go to bed without a goodnight kiss from their father because someone disagreed with his opinion. He didn't cut somebody off in traffic. He didn't throw a beer bottle at anybody. He didn't brandish a gun. He didn't drive his car into a crowd of protesters. He went and gave a speech on public decorum and what he believes in. And now his kids will never hear his voice live again. Like I just, if you're not bothered by this, man, you're not fucking human. You're subhuman. And the thing is, I'm scared for everybody. I'm scared for everybody. Most liberals don't have guns. Most liberals don't like guns. You just killed a very powerful voice on the side of people who do lawfully tote guns. What do you think is going to happen next? Do you think that they're going to respond with love for liberals now that this one guy killed a conservative commentator? No. There's going to be more violence. There's going to be more violence. Like, if you can't see how bad this is going to be, and the thing is, the violence begets more violence. Some other liberal is going to feel emboldened after the next conservative goes off with a rifle. I just... You tell me how this is going to end positively, how this is going to continue positively. It won't. It absolutely won't. I just feel bad for Lax Lifter says something interesting. He says, this is the path being headed to when those were cheering on Luigi. I'm going to at least 50% agree with that, because I think that those that cheered on Luigi kind of created a rational loophole in moral thinking. I didn't see many liberals or conservatives really talking with that much sympathy for the healthcare exec that was cowardly ended in December 2024. But this what happened today was definitely more polarizing. I think that the crime that was perpetrated today does even more damage to public speech and the public discourse surrounding how people think that society should be shaped going forward. But I do know one thing. If I was a person who was unsure whether the liberals have the right idea or the conservatives, and I look at today's violence, I'm definitely going to be pushing more conservative. The person that goes to the ad hominem attack, the person that raises their voice first, the person that gets personal when they lose, when their argument is not really going over, that is the person losing their argument. The guy that pulls out a pistol during a speech loses the argument. The people who are on the side of the guy who pulled out the pistol and shot Charlie Kirk, you're on the wrong side of history. You lost the argument. Today, liberals lost the argument. And it doesn't matter who you agree with. It matters how you carry yourself in society. When you take someone's words and you repay them with bullets, you lost the argument. And liberals lost the argument today. I think for a lot of people who are on the fence, the liberals lost the argument today. Charlie Kirk, regardless of whether you agree with him or not, was an innocent man gunned down in cowardly cold blood because someone didn't agree with his opinion. And I'm sure the next liberal to lose their life will also lose their life when they did nothing wrong to anybody. This is not the society that we should be advocating for or wanting to live in. Before I get off the stream, I'm going to say for the last time, I don't know who you guys are, but the family and friends of Charlie Kirk, I don't have the proper words to express how horrible I feel on your behalf. If you're a fan of Charlie Kirk, we're probably not going to agree on everything, but I'm pretty sure we agree that what happened to that man was beyond reprehensible. And that is not what public speech is about. This is not how we carry on conversation. This is not how we express our dissatisfaction with anyone's position on anything. Trevor Rose says, I live in North Carolina, and a week ago, a 20-year-old Ukrainian immigrant, I think she was 23 years old. 23 years old, minding her business. And we don't want to paint all black people with the same broad brush. We don't want to paint all liberals as, violent murderers. But we all need to stand up against unprovoked violence, all of it. We need to stand up, everybody, liberals and conservatives. It does not matter who you agree with or disagree with. All forms of this unprovoked violence, we all need to get together and rail against all forms of unprovoked violence, all of it, regardless of who it's happening to. That girl was on the train minding her own goddamn business. And some asshole made his life a problem, is her problem, for no good reason. Well, we already know what's going to happen to him in prison. What do you think? What do you think that the... No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to leave that alone. Because it would make me no better than... I'm not going to go there. I just, you know... If you're a lover of humanity, you get my condolences today. Charlie Kirk fan or not, a family man was taken away from his family. For no good goddamn reason. And I think that that needs to be where the occasionally I will talk on social issues on this channel, but this is mostly a fitness autopsy channel. For the most part, I don't really stream video games on this channel anymore. But I felt like today was less about my leg day and more about trying to get back to humanity. Again, if you're a Charlie Kirk fan, I'm sorry that today happened. Charlie Kirk's family, I don't have sufficient words. I don't have sufficient words of support. Today is a dark day. I will say that. You guys can debate in the comment section about whatever. I'll be back on Sunday after another very difficult leg day. Hopefully I get the bench press done tomorrow. And I'll report back on, I think I'm supposed to do a bench press. I'm supposed to do it early in the week. I didn't get it done. But I'm going to try to get sets of 5 at 245 on the bench on the top sets. I'm going to try to get a row day in because I think that the lower lat strain I have on my right side is largely recovered. So Friday I'm going to try to hit a good horizontal pull day and hit another good leg day on Sunday and report back to you guys. But guys, let's get back to humanity, regardless of what kind of social ideology you subscribe to. And I'm going to repeat something that I've heard Louis Rossman say a lot. People should not be owned by their ideologies. People should have ideologies. They should not be owned by them. Humanity is the first moral value that rises above all others. Conservatism, liberalism, all of that is tertiary to being human beings. Let's hold ourselves accountable. We got to get this violent shit out of here, man. The only thing you have to do is say, I disagree, and walk away. That's all you have to do. Much love to you guys. Thank you for the support as always. Hopefully I have something more positive to talk about next time, but thanks for listening to my rant. I'll catch you on the next one.